Hello, and welcome to our presentation on compassionate systems leadership, growing compassionate cultures and climates to support whole child development. My name is Shirley Giroux, and I am the school counselor in Valemount, BC, Canada, which is on the traditional unceded territories of the Simpcw and Lheidli peoples at the headwaters of the Fraser River in the beautiful Rocky Mountains.
Hello, everyone. I'm Suchitra Sarda, and I'm the founder of Compassionate Learning Communities. I'm also doing my PhD with Dr. Kimberly Shawnat-Reichel at the University of Illinois, Chicago, which resides on the traditional territories of the Three Fire peoples.
So in this presentation today, we're going to give you a very, very brief window into this work of compassionate systems leadership. We're going to talk a little bit about what we mean when we talk about compassionate systems leadership and frame it in terms of why it has to do with systems. What do we mean by systems? And how can we use the model of the three-legged stool to help us understand what we mean when we talk about compassionate systems leadership? We're also then going to talk about how compassionate systems leadership can help us incorporate spirituality and support whole child development. And for that, we're going to focus on one particular tool or approach called the check-in. So I'm just going to share a screen here again. We're going to jump right in to talk about what do we mean when we talk about systems. So what is a system and why do we care about it when we're talking about teaching and well-being? Well, generally, when we talk about a system, if we go by the definition from Donella Meadows, who's a very famous systems thinker, a system is an interconnected set of elements that is coherently organized in a way that achieves something. So a system must consist of three things. It has parts that affect each other, that we can also call elements. It has interconnections or interactions between these parts that give rise to emergent effects that are different from the effect of each part on its own. And finally, a system has to have a function or a purpose, a reason for existing. By studying the structure of a system, we have a really potentially powerful tool to find leverage points to change how it works. A key insight regarding systems is that when we change the elements of a system, we rarely actually change the system's behavior. It's the interconnections, the feedback, and the incentives that drive elements to behave. And even if we change elements, those interconnections will drive new elements to behave similarly to the old ones in acting in accordance with the system's purpose. So as systems thinkers, which is one part of compassionate systems leadership, as we will see, we really want to examine those interconnections and design new interconnections to help us change the behavior of a system. So generally, when we're looking for those leverage points, it's within an interconnected set of elements. And as individuals especially, this is where we really have the most agency, as each of us actually is an element and is at least partially responsible for our role in various interconnections. So as individuals within a system, we can take responsibility and have awareness about how we show up, and we can work on our embodied practice.
And it's in working on our embodied practice that spirituality comes in. Because as Shirley said, we affect the system. As part of the system or as elements of the system, we do actions or we take actions which have consequences on the system. And when we are spiritual or when we are growing this element of spirituality within us, we care about those consequences and we care about the people in that system and the larger community. And therefore we take actions that will help and support the growth and well-being of the larger community. And that is what is the compassionate part of compassionate systems. And we can do this more and more by being mindful, but mindful not just for the sake of being mindful, but mindful educators, aware educators, because we are working with children and we want to grow the spirituality in children. We want to grow this awareness of the system in children. And that can happen when we are aware moment to moment. So we are practicing what we are preaching from moment to moment throughout the day, throughout our learning time with the students. And as mindful educators, by embodying these practices, by living these practices, by being aware, by being mindful, we're actually creating a space for spirituality, for being caring, aware parts of that system.
If we can enable this shift with each other, as Suchitra mentioned, with ourselves, with our colleagues, with our students, we can shift systems. So let's dig into a little bit more about what that means in terms of compassionate systems leadership. We've talked a bit about what do we mean by systems. We've talked a bit about what do we mean by compassionate. What do we mean by leadership? Well, this isn't leadership as in a positional role. With compassionate systems leadership, we're working to support and enhance each other's inherent leadership, regardless of our specific role within a system. So looking at this model here, the three-legged stool, we can see that in this model, we have, as these core leadership capacities, three different factors. In general, this model is one that really gives us a sense of the why of compassionate systems, along with a little bit of the how. As we know, hopefully with some personal experience with something that has three legs, a tripod, a stool, when one leg is removed or shorter than the others, the stool is no longer stable. Each stool is as equally important as the other in this model. The first step in building, or each of the systems tools that we incorporate and use in compassionate systems leadership addresses at least one of the three legs of the stool. So what are these legs? We can see here that we have personal mastery. When we talk about personal mastery, it's when we're really focusing on that individual, that intrapersonal development, how we show up, how we embody our practices. The second leg that we can see here in the middle is reflective conversations. With this leg, we really want to keep in mind our interpersonal development. How are we able to connect with others? How are we able to incorporate a multitude of perspectives in our decision making? In the third leg, we can see here labeled systems thinking. This is where we really want to be aware of the influences of the larger systems that we're a part of. We want to be able to not only be aware of the systems through systems awareness, but understand how we might become even more aware using various systems thinking tools and approaches. A prime directive or function of this model and of compassionate systems leadership in general is that inner change is going to help create outer change. So when we can really work on our personal mastery, that intrapersonal development, when we can connect with other people and build capacity in ourselves to be able to share in relationship, when we're able to have those larger systems in mind, that's how we're also eventually and ultimately going to be able to collectively shift those systems. And more impact generally, I think we probably have experience with this, that more impact can be realized when connected individuals learn and act together. So each of us individually shows up, form relationship, and shift those systems. We're now going to take a look at one tool that's going to help us think about how we can focus on two of these three legs kind of simultaneously, again, with the bigger picture being by doing this work that we might also ultimately shift our systems. So with this, we're going to move into check-ins.
There are many tools to work on the interpersonal, intrapersonal, and systemic changes. However, the check-in is one of our fundamental tools, and it is a contemplative practice. It is, you can say, a spiritual practice in compassionate systems. And the check-in can be divided into three parts. The first part is where you do a little bit of grounding so that you can bring your whole self to the present where you are. Many times we get into a room or a meeting or a classroom without even thinking about what we are actually doing, and our minds are somewhere else and our thoughts are in another place. And the grounding practice really helps you to bring your whole self in with your thoughts, your body, and be present in the moment. After the grounding, we do the journaling, where we would pose a few questions, reflective questions that will allow you to think about the larger purpose. What are you doing, what you're doing, and why are you doing that? And we give you a little bit of time to journal about these questions. After the journaling, we invite you to get into groups so that you can discuss what you have journaled. And a critical part of this check-in, or this third step of the grounding and check-in, is that you listen to the people who are sharing. We are so often interested in talking about what we want to say that we don't listen to others. And even when we listen to others, we listen and try to connect it to our own lived experiences instead of really just listening to their experiences and being there for them when they are sharing. So check-in is a very important part of the third, or the sharing, and the check-in is a very important part of the grounding. And listening is a very important part of check-in. And Shirley will talk a little bit more about listening with the help of this theory U.
Yeah, as we just talked about, it's really important when we are sharing space together in a check-in that we try and listen, as Suchitra mentioned, not from that superficial level or those superficial levels. So this model here is from work by Otto Scharmer, from his bigger body of work called Theory U. And on this diagram, the reason why this is a useful diagram is because it helps us envision how we might want to listen in a group such as a check-in. Ideally, in that space, we want to try and listen from the bottom of the U. So we can see here at the top of the U, level 1, listening from habit. When we're at this very superficial level, this is where confirmation bias comes in. We're really only listening to confirm what we think we already know. A little bit below that, we have listening from outside. So here, we're not listening so much to just for the things that we think we already know. Here, what we're doing is we're noticing differences in what we already believe. So we're listening for new information. Just under that, we have empathic listening, which is a very important kind of listening. This is where we try and put ourselves into another's shoes to take their perspective and to understand how what they're telling us was experienced by them. And while this is a very important and valuable way of listening to each other, when we're together in a check-in, which again, unfortunately, we're not going to guide you through at this time, being that this is a recorded presentation, but in future, when you are able to participate in a check-in with a group, see if you can try and listen from the co-creation of a shared future, which is what we're really talking about when we're talking about listening from the bottom of the U. This is when we're using what's called generative listening, listening from the future wanting to emerge. So it's not premised on one person's perspective or on information that we think we know or that might be new to us, but it's about listening more for this shared big picture and how we can co-create that together. So we're going to have, well, we're not going to have the opportunity to practice the time sitting together in the check-in. We are going to have the time now for a little bit of a grounding practice. So I'm just going to turn off the slides. We can get ourselves comfortable.
So I invite you to do this grounding practice with us as we end this presentation. And you can use this practice in your classrooms, you can use it in your meetings, anywhere, even before a family dinner if you wish to. So I invite you to join me for this little grounding practice. Get into a comfortable position, press down on your sitting bones. You can bounce a little bit just to press down on your sitting bones so that your back is straight. You can roll out your shoulders so you can breathe freely. Close your eyes if you wish to, or you can just lower your gaze or focus on any single point so that you're not distracted. Make sure your feet are on a hard surface. Hands can be on your knees or beside you. Quickly scan your body from head to toe to see if you're holding any tightness, tension, discomfort. And if you are, shake it out, stretch it out. Move a little bit if needed so that you're ready for this grounding practice. And when you feel ready, bring your attention, focus your mind to your breath. And you can do that by taking a long, deep inhale through your nose and a long exhale through your nose. Another long inhale through your nose, consciously breathing in and breathing out through your nose. Exhale. Continue with another deep inhale and a long exhale. And continue with this deep breathing till you find your mind steadily focused on your breath. And when you feel focused, just observe the breath as it is, without taking a deep breath, just as it is. As you inhale and exhale, just noticing the breath going into your nostrils, into your body, and coming out through your nostrils. And just focus on the small triangular area of your nose, upper lip, nostrils. Noticing the breath as it enters your nostrils, goes in, exits through your nostrils. Maybe you can feel it touching your upper lip. You might feel it as it goes inside your nostrils. Staying fully focused on the breath. Noticing the length of the breath, the temperature of the breath. Inhale and exhale. And if you find your mind distracted, take a deep, long inhale, conscious inhale, and breathe those thoughts out. And continue the deep breathing till your mind is focused again on the natural breath, without imagining anything, visualizing anything, just staying with your breath as it is, as it enters your nostrils and as it exits from your nostrils. Aware, alert, awake, conscious of every inhale and exhale. Being kind to yourself if you find yourself distracted. Just taking a deep inhale and breathing those thoughts out, filling your mind with breath, with air. Bringing your mind back to the natural breath. Inhale and exhale. We will close this grounding practice with a short, loving kindness practice. As we stay aware of the breath, continue to be aware that the breath is going in and coming out. Just aware. It's an inhale. It's an exhale. That's it. Aware. And in this awareness, make a wish for yourself. May I be happy peaceful, and in harmony with nature. May I grow in love, compassion, kindness, and gratitude. May I be free of craving, aversion, and suffering. May I be happy. Stay aware with your breath. Inhale and exhale. And in awareness of your breath, make a wish for your loved ones, your family, friends, people you care about. May you be happy, peaceful, and in harmony with nature. May you grow in love, compassion, kindness, and gratitude. May you be free of craving, aversion, and suffering. May you thrive and flourish. May you be happy, aware of your breath, and an awareness of your breath. Make a wish for all living beings, known to you, unknown to you, visible to you, not visible to you, living on land, air, water. Make a wish for all living beings. May all living beings be happy, peaceful, and in harmony with nature. May all living beings grow in love, compassion, kindness, and gratitude. May all living beings be free of craving, aversion, and suffering. May all living beings be happy. May we be happy. May I be happy. Stay aware of your breath and in awareness of your breath. Ask yourself, what am I being called to do? What is moving inside me? What am I being called to do? What is moving inside me today? And when you feel ready, you can slowly open your eyes, stretch, have a sip of water if you need to. And this is the time you will take to journal. And after a few minutes of journaling, you will do your check-ins in groups. You're muted.
Because we are not able to put you in groups today to finish this check-in, we invite you to go out and practice some deep listening with someone that you encounter as you leave this session today. Thank you for staying for our session. We are happy to chat more over email or invite you to check out our websites. And thank you.
Thank you.